immigration. When the law of April 6, 1830 threatened to stop almost all immigration from the United States, Tejanos such as political chief Ramon Musquiz and Texas representatives to the legislature Rafael Antonio Manchola and Jose Maria Balmaceda raised such complaints that Balmaceda was expelled from the legislature and Manchola was censured. There were some Tejanos who were actively engaged in establishing new communities and economic activities. Martín de León, the only Tejano empresario, founded the town of Victoria, and until his death in the cholera epidemic of 1833, attempted to establish good working relations with American and European immigrants settling along the coastal region. His son Fernando and his son-in-law Plácido Benavides continued their warm relations with the Anglos and identified themselves with the Tejano Federalists. Just to the south in the Goliad area, Carlos de la Garza, a member of an old Presidio family, established one of the largest ranching communities in the region. He counted among his friends the various Irish and Anglo families that moved into the area in the early 1830s. As my remarks make obvious, Texas did not lack for Hispanic leadership. As the political situation in Mexico deteriorated in 1834 and 35, Tejanos faced increasingly difficult choices. Juan Seguin, who had assumed the office of political chief in January 1834, had to announce the news that Stephen Austin had been arrested and taken to Mexico City under charges of sedition. Later in the year, he attempted to call a convention in San Antonio of representatives from all of the municipalities of Texas to decide on a course of action, given the fighting that had erupted between Federalists and the supporters of Antonio López de Santa Anna's reactionary takeover of the national government. If the Federalists represented the promoters and defenders of states' rights, the promoters of a strong national government in which the rights and privileges of the military and the church were preserved, were called Centralists. Centralists had turned to Santa Anna to overthrow the increasingly and radically reform-minded work of acting President Valentín Gómez Farías. And the struggle between Federalists and Centralists had thrown much of the country into chaos. In Coahuila, the Federalists controlled the state legislature, sitting at Monclova, while Centralists in Saltillo called on Mexico City to support their efforts to brand the Monclova government illegal. For Tejanos, these disputes required taking sides, and Seguin saw Texas as naturally in the Federalist camp. Thus, in the fall of 1835, when rebellion broke out in Texas, it may have done so in the Anglo portions of the province, but Tejanos were more than ready to take part for their own reasons. Juan Seguin raised a company of Bejareños to defend Texas against Centralist aggression. Plácido Benavides did the same in Goliad. Only in the spring of 1836, when the rebellion against Centralist rule turned into a war for independence, did Tejanos have a new choice to make: assume responsibility for their portion of the fight or remain loyal to Mexico, even if to an increasingly despotic government. Most chose the path of independence. José Antonio Navarro and Francisco Ruiz signed the Texas Declaration of Independence along with the Mexican nationalist Lorenzo de Zavala. Juan Seguin and his men fought during the runaway scrape and at San Jacinto, or as they like to say up the road when I was there on Saturday, San Jacinto.